Alright, now it's time for us to go ahead and put a flowchart from our human algorithm. One thing I want you to notice is the fact that when I've created these places in memory, I've used something called camel notation. Now, camel notation is where you have the first letter as a small letter, and then the first of each of the second and third word, or how many words we have, is capital. And we do this just to make it easier for us to see, because actually when I'm going to make my flow chart, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these spaces. Whoops, not that space. Okay, so I'm going to put in an R here, number, and get rid of that R. Okay, and get rid of the spaces. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of this space, and this space, and this space, and this space, and this space. And you're probably thinking, why didn't I do that? Well, later on, what we're going to do is when we do our problem statement, we're going to go ahead and use the camel notation to make our life a little bit easier. But in these early ones, I want you to understand where we get all this information from and why program is easy once you have finished your problem statement. Alright, so the first thing we have is something with an equal sign, so that means it's an assignment. So I'm going to add an assignment. There it is. And I'm simply going to copy this with Control C and paste it here with Control V. You can see that it's missing some stuff. Well, if I just drag down the bottom of this wall, it'll show me the rest of the stuff. So this is a little bit too big for that box. So I just have to move it down to see what's inside. Alright, and then that's going to be equal to Control C, Control V, and I've done the first one. That's perfect. Next one says ask, which means it's an input. So I'm going to add an input symbol. An input symbol has two things, and one is where we're going to store the information and what question are we going to ask. Well, here is the place we're going to store it. So I'm going to Control C, Control V, and then here I'm just going to write a simple question, and I'm going to put in first shift total, and then I'm going to question mark and then close the quote. Again, it must start with a quote and must end with a quote. And then I'll do the second one, and that's an input. And again, I copy this and I paste it in. And as I've told you, copying and pasting are your best friends, and you want to make sure that you do them. Alright, so in this one I'm going to ask the question, second shift total, question mark, and close with a quote. And then I'll put in my third input, and I will copy third shift from here and paste it here, and then ask the question. Third shift total, question mark, close quote. Alright, I've done my first four steps. This next one has an equal sign, so I'm going to put an assignment in. Make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to copy total production from the left, Control C, Control V. Again, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Then I'm going to take this side and copy it and paste it in. Alright, I've done that. Now I have step number 6 is another assignment. Make this bigger and then make this bigger, because I'm probably going to have the same problem. So I'm going to copy shift average, Control C, paste it in, Control V, then copy this, Control C, and paste it, Control V. And I say, well, Mr. Brown, I could have typed that faster than I copied and pasted it. Well, the thing is, you're going to make an error, a typographical error, and that's going to cost you hours of searching to find it. If you copy and paste, again, those are your friends, then you're not going to have a problem. Alright, so now I have two outputs. Okay, and my output expression is, I'm going to be using total production, but I need a label first to let people know what that is. So I'm going to put a quote and say the total production is colon space and close that quote. So there's my label. Then I'm going to join it with the place in memory that has the value. So I'm going to put a plus sign to join, and then I'm going to copy total production, Control C, and paste it in, Control V. So this is my label, and it's using a plus symbol to join, and this is my place in memory that has an actual number. And I click OK. And then do my last output. Okay, and then I have, again, a label. This is going to be my shift average. So I start with a quote, and I say the shift average is colon space, and then I close the quote. And I use the plus symbol to join, and then I'll copy shift average and paste it in, and click OK. Wow, there you go. How fast was that? I don't think you can type it any faster. Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and we know that this is all perfect. So I'll run it one time to see, and I'll say, well, I got 10 for the first one, I've got 20 for the second one, I've got 30 for the third one. My total production is 60, 10 plus 20 plus 30, and my average will be 20. Perfect. Alright, so that's what we have, taking a human algorithm and turning it into a flowchart.